Welcome Trinidad and Tobago to our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited. I'm Nicola Barreto. Let's take a look at the headlines. Canada and Trinidad and Tobago sign trade agreement. New Caribbean Airlines chairman receives letter of appointment. And in our sport feature, basketball pain. Thank you for joining us. To our top story, Trinidad and Tobago's 10 years of negotiating with Canada over a possible trade agreement is said to have come to a conclusion following a meeting with the prime ministers of both nations. This year's Summit of the Americas. Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar said that the bilateral agreement had concluded and would see this country reaping numerous benefits. Kimberly Ram-Kalawan reports.
Outstanding talks with Canada for the exchange of expertise in the areas of health and the energy sector are said to be close to an agreement. The latest news comes from Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar, who added that a trade agreement had been signed with Canada following a meeting with that country's Prime Minister Stephen Harper during the 6th Summit of the Americas.
Prime Minister Harper expressed an interest in enhancing its trade and economic relationship with Trinidad and Tobago and with the CARICOM through a bilateral trade and development agreement. That agreement is currently under negotiation and discussion. There are some challenges within it. Prime Minister Harper used the opportunity to raise those challenges in terms of some of the concerns CARICOM member states were looking at, and we hope to find a resolution that we can find common ground to have this bilateral trade and development agreement concluded.
She added that talks were ongoing in partnering with Canada for the establishment of a specialist medical center.
Discussions are ongoing for a government-to-government partnership with the Government of Canada for the construction of a specialist hospital center that will concentrate on NCDs, the non-communicable diseases related to diabetes and hypertension and cardio matters related to the heart, as a specialist center.
The agreement with Canada is said to be one of the many things arising from the PM's participation in the 6th Summit of the Americas. Kimberly Ram-Kalawan, News 4.
When we come back, New Caribbean Airlines chairman takes up his post.
Civilian Conservation Corps, CCC, now recruiting candidates for its upcoming cycle. Join our training program, military-led, national in scope.
Environment conserving, disaster response training, flora and fauna preserving, and life skill training. If you want to do better, change your life over. Civilian Conservation Corps has opened doors. You like plumbing? You like welding?
Call us now at 625-4CCC. That's 625-4222. Or contact us at the CCC office in your region. For further information, check us out on Facebook. Search for Civilian Conservation Corps. The Civilian Conservation Corps, getting youth ready for life.
Personal music players can stop you from being aware of your surroundings. Always be aware of your surroundings and periodically look over your shoulder to prevent anyone from sneaking up on you. Remember, crime prevention is everyone's business. A message from the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service.
You ever wonder what we just do on a daily basis? Well, let me enlighten you on some of our roles and responsibilities. Our hours of work are from 10 to half 5. We also scan and mark beaches with flags. Advise beachgoers on safety and safety measures. We even administer first aid and CPR when necessary. One of our main priority is to take all preventative measures and to respond to all beach emergencies and rescues. We also monitor water conditions as well as weather conditions because you don't want to be caught in rain and all of a sudden, whoosh! Lightning strike and cut you a new mohawk. So people, be smart.
Caribbean Airlines Limited has a new chairman. Businessman Rabindra Moonan took up his post as he received his instruments of appointment. John Victor has the story.
New Caribbean Airlines Chairman Rabindra Moonan is expressing optimism about the impact his appointment will have on the airline. The businessman turned chairman received his instruments of appointment on Friday at the offices of the Ministry of Transport at Tower D. Speaking at a short news conference, the newly appointed chairman said that CAL had the potential to unite the region.
It is necessary for a government input in the running of an airline, because we must look at the social and economic impact which an airline brings, not only to Trinidad and Tobago in our case, but the entire Caribbean, and as we move and forge for Caribbean integration. So when we start our planning and we begin to speak with the Minister of Finance and the government, we put this in a proper perspective.
Transport Minister Senator Devon Manraj commended Mr. Moonan for taking up the post at a time when the airline industry faced numerous challenges across the globe.
As you rise to the challenge faced by the airline industry both locally, regionally and internationally, Mr. Chairman, I have no fear or concerns that the decision you will make will be in the interest of Caribbean Airlines and the people of Trinidad and Tobago and the people of the Caribbean. Let me also take this opportunity to express my deepest gratitude to the former chairman of Caribbean Airlines, the illustrious Mr. George Nicholas III. Mr. Nicholas has added a level of dynamism, growth of Caribbean Airlines, and no doubt a level of interest that Caribbean Airlines has never seen before.
The minister added that the appointment of Mr. Moonan will play a pivotal role as the search for a new CEO for the airline had begun.
To the new chairman, these are some of the challenges that await you. They are not all. There are many that Mr. Corby and his management team will no doubt share with you. I also urge you to work with the COO, Mr. Robert Corby, as you search for a CEO. I understand that search began some time ago and it will be still in the process of needing attention.
The new chairman hails from a business background and has served as a senator as well as deputy mayor of San Fernando. John Victor, News 4.
Labour leaders and government ministers are discussing plans to establish a Heroes Park and Museum in Faizabad. Minister of Labour, Small and Micro Enterprise Development, the Honourable Aaron MacLeod, is highlighting the significance of such an establishment in this country, particularly Faizabad. He was addressing the scores that gathered at the OWTU Hall at Charlie King Junction in Faizabad, where Labour leaders were also present. Vinna Bharat has more.
Labour leaders and government ministers are discussing plans to establish a Heroes Park and Museum in Faizabad. Minister of Labour, Small and Micro Enterprises Development, Aaron MacLeod, is highlighting the significance of such an establishment in this country, particularly Faizabad.
They believed that all men and women, whether rich or poor, should be treated equally. A sentiment that was vehemently opposed by the authorities of the day. And bet your bottom dollar, there are those who today will also oppose what we are about. But there are some of us with particular levels of determination, and we will ensure that our labor heroes are recognized and that we install a museum in their recognition and their honor.
Mr. MacLeod described the harsh circumstances of work and daily living conditions which were imposed on citizens, forcing them to take a stance for better life.
These anti-colonial revolutionaries were frustrated and suffered for what they subscribed to. They subscribed a fervent belief in the power of collective human conscience, not unlike that same school of thought espoused by celebrated international personalities such as the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, Mahatma Gandhi, and Nelson Mandela. As a result of their tenacity, the immediate net result of that 1937 uprising was the achievement of the legal right in Trinidad and Tobago to collective bargaining by workers.
Minister McLeod notes that it is crucial for persons to be made aware of those who have positively influenced the course of this country's labor institutions towards greater equity and prosperity.
As our nation anticipates the commemoration of the 75th anniversary of that uprising, it is believed that the contributions of all labor icons who have struggled and those who continue to work toward improving the lives of thousands of workers in Trinidad and Tobago should be properly acknowledged through the institutionalization of a permanent mechanism for recognition and education too, and perhaps more so education. We are in a society today in which our young people at school do not know anything about Uriah Buzz Butler.
Veena Bharath, News 4.
When we come back, the Prime Minister announces plans to reduce the country's food bill. Stay with us.
We are reporting from communities across the country. People are calling Nalis Libraries their library. Tell me, why is Nalis your library?
My library is where I can have fun learning.
My library is helping me earn better grades with online research resources.
My library is my gateway to the world of information.
My library is providing access to the differently abled. As a visually impaired person, I can envision limitless possibilities.
My library is making my world truly worldwide with free internet access.
My library is helping me keep an eye on my health with access to the virtual health library via the Nalis website.
Nalis is my library.
Jason, I think I see some rain.
Listen, D, there's going to be a serious shower. This rainy season will be hectic, you know.
Potential flooding across Trinidad and Tobago.
It's so important to have the information so we could be prepared and we could plan and put things in place to protect ourselves.
That's why Jason and I found out some things that you can do to protect yourself and your family this rainy season.
First plan of action is to not build your home or business too close to ravines, rivers or drains. Because when the heavy flooding occurs, they can wash away all your valuable property.
Remember, rivers need a place to flow, and over time, riverbanks widen naturally. So if you must, build a safe distance from the river.
But at the end of the day, flooding takes place, and if indeed you become a victim of flooding, here is the hookup. You need to contact your regional corporation or the ODPM at 800 ODPM.
Great, Jason. Remember, damages caused by flooding can be minimized. So let's plan and prepare.
In order to safeguard our family, our community, and our country.
A message from the Ministry of National Security, Office of Disaster Preparedness and Management.
Adults aren't the only ones who beat up on kids. Sometimes kids beat up on kids.
Every child has the right to be protected from violence, abuse, and neglect.
Because I shouldn't be afraid to go to school or play with my friends.
Because no child should be hurt by adults or by other children.
Because safety is my right. Stop the bullying.
Welcome back. Prime Minister, the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisasa, has announced plans to reduce this country's food bill through the collaboration with Brazil. It's one of the many positive benefits arising from agreements met during the Prime Minister's trip to Colombia for the 6th Summit of the Americas. Kimberly Ramkalawan reports.
Reducing the cost of food for all citizens. It's the goal of a partnership between this country and Brazil, signed by Prime Minister Kamla Prasad Bisasa during the recently concluded Summit of the Americas. According to the Prime Minister, it's in keeping with government's goal of lowering the nation's food bill.
This farm will play a crucial role in boosting the production methods of our local farmers. The farm will be located in central Trinidad. It will be located on land donated by the government, and it will serve as a stimulus for the expansion of the agricultural sector. This, I've asked Ministers of Foreign Affairs and Food Production to fast-track the arrangements with Brazil and CARICOM. But today I say, coming out of my meeting with Her Excellency President Rousseff, she has committed and she's willing, and she said she's now learning the word in English, fast-track. So everything we speak of is fast-track, and she loves that word. So I think we will get it done as sisters together.
She added that the partnership will also seek to supply meat at a lower cost for consumers in Trinidad and Tobago.
Because of the way in which the regulations are framed, it excludes the meats coming out of these countries. Well, guess what? Were we to import from there, the prices of our food will drop substantially. It will bring down the price of meat substantially. And therefore it is something I'll ask again Foreign Affairs and my Minister of Food Production for them to work on seeing how we can revise and reform and modernize the regulations relating to the importation of meats coming out of South America.
Farmers here in TNT are also set to benefit from the agreement, as training will be provided on techniques for growing food for mass production. It is expected that through this joint venture, citizens will benefit from gainful employment in the food production industry, as well as from lower food costs. Kimberly Ramkalawan, News 4.
And in our sports segment, games in the Northern Basketball League continued last night at the Gene Bay Sport Complex with an exciting and a so exciting matchup. Wayne Cunningham has the explanation as well as the highlights.
News 4 Sports ventured to the Gene Bay Sports Complex to take in some action in the Northern Basketball League. The first matchup on the night, a second division encounter between Straker Nets and Macoya Forum, was painful on the eyes in the first half, to say the least. At the start of the second period, the score was 38-16 in favor of Macoya Forum. They immediately got to work on expanding that lead and providing a bit more entertainment for the small crowd as the second half began. Straker Nets also looked better in that period as they battled for some points. Unfortunately, they started to play too late and Macoya did not stop. Anton Francis was the top scorer for Straker Nets with 10 points, with Randy Hayward dropping in 7. High score on the night was Delano Rivero with 17. He got good support from Kareem Walker, who had 14, as Macoya Forum took the easy win 65-49 over Straker Nets. Game 2 was much more exciting between Police and Caledonia Clippers, with Caledonia jumping out to an early lead. Police never allowed them to get too far ahead though, as they got their game going. By the half, the team from Mova had the slightest of leads. The second half featured more end-to-end action, but Police had the hot hands early. Randy Greenidge led the scoring for the Lawmen with 14 points, while Hazley Modest contributed 10. But their efforts were overshadowed by Kerwin Laris. The Caledonia captain scoring a game-high 16 points as he took over proceedings in the second half. His teammates also sang some valuable buckets to hold off Police. The final score, 80-73 in favor of Caledonia Clippers. Wayne Cunningham, News 4 Sports.
When we come back, new National Training Center in St. Madeleine. Stay with us.
Carjacking has become very prevalent in recent times. Certain makes of vehicles are more preferred targets for criminals. When approaching intersections or junctions, ensure that all doors are locked and windows are wound up if possible. Remember, crime prevention is everyone's business. A message from the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service.
Meet the Kissoons. It's Saturday, and everyone has to do their part to clean the house. Everything was flowing perfectly until... Daddy, warm water again? No. Don't let this happen to you. Pay your bill today.
The Water and Sewage Authority of Trinidad and Tobago. Water security for every sector. Deliver it. Sustain it.
Hi, I'm Natasha, and like most Trinbagonians, I love the beach. The beach can be fun, but we have to be tsunami smart and know the warning signs. You're at the beach and you feel the earth shake. Run. You see the water moving an unusual distance out from the shore. Run. You hear a strange roar from the sea. Run. If you experience any of these warning signs, run to higher ground. Be tsunami smart and know the natural warning signs. They could save your life.
A message from the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Management, United States Agency for International Development, Caribbean Disaster and Emergency Management Agency, UWI Seismic Research Center, and the European Union.
Persons in the area of St. Madeleine now have the opportunity to practice skills in the workplace. This is Science, Technology and Tertiary Education Minister Fazal Karim formally opened the National Training St. Madeleine on-the-Job Training Center. Verna Barath reports.
Speaking at the formal opening of the National Training Agency St. Madeleine on-the-Job Training Center, Science, Technology and Tertiary Education Minister Fazal Karim says the opening of an OJT sub-regional office in the area at the NESC Center will help to increase the level of productivity and will boost the morale overall, not only in the St. Madeleine area, but also in relation to the workforce of Trinidad and Tobago.
In a sense, it will be a point of intersection between those who require labor, those who want to work, and those who demand these employees. So you may find businesses may say, they may come here and ask, what kind of trainees do you have, or can I get some persons to work in my company? And we will be able to say from the database of registration, well, these are the persons who we have.
Minister Karim says the program will expose trainees to the knowledge and skills in order to perform their jobs. Trainees will have a better idea of what is expected of them and will feel more comfortable learning and training in a working environment with the necessary equipment at their disposal. He adds that the exposure to and acquisition of new skills and knowledge will help to reduce boredom among young people in the St. Madeleine area and also boost their confidence, which can in turn help reduce the level of crime in the area.
It will lead to the reduction of what I call the discouraged graduate. Well, I have coined that phrase from a discouraged worker. A discouraged worker is one who has been looking for work quite regularly and has fallen off the labor market system because they're not getting the response. Many times you'll hear young students telling you that we are applying and we are not even getting an acknowledgement of the application. And therefore that constitutes, in my view, what I will describe and define as the discouraged graduate. By opening offices like these, we'll reduce, if not eliminate, the percentage of the discouraged graduate.
Speaking with reporters at the event, Minister Karim also revealed plans for training of medical students in the country, specifically ENT specialists.
With a population of 1.3 million, gives you about 130,000 persons to one ENT specialist. Hence the reason why we have recognized that there is a need for training in this area. And while the training might be extensive, because to graduate fully with a DM in ENT will take you approximately 6-year postgraduate program. The good thing about this is that the people who will access this program are also doctors who are working and employed in the public service or in the private sector, and many of whom are also specialists, so they're pursuing this higher postgraduate degree. And I did indicate as well that we will have the benefit of the experiences and the expertise, while they might be studying, they'll also have practicals to do on the various wards and so on. Respect to your question, the training will take place not only at the Eric Williams Medical Sciences Complex, which is where the Faculty of Medical Sciences is based, but also at the Port of Spain General Hospital and the San Fernando General Hospital.
Verna Barath, News 4.
Well, that's how we wrap up this edition of our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited. I'm Nicola Barreto. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome Trinidad and Tobago to our News 4 top stories of the week. I'm Nicola Barreto. Benefits for Trinidad and Tobago emanating from the country's participation in the 6th Summit of the Americas last weekend in Colombia. Prime Minister, the Honorable Kamla Persad-Bissessar, signed several cooperation agreements during the meeting of heads of government of Latin America and the Caribbean. We hear more in this report.
Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar has hailed her trip to this year's Summit of the Americas in Colombia as a success. The PM returned Wednesday evening, describing her meeting as fruitful.
It was of great importance for us, given our strategy now of engaging Central America, South America, Latin America, and indeed marketing Trinidad and Tobago to investors in the Americas and positioning Trinidad and Tobago as a gateway to the Americas. I must say we were well received, and we want to thank all those with whom we interfaced at Cartagena in Colombia.
The visit is said to have also resulted in Prime Minister Persad-Bissessar signing agreements with the Andean Development Bank for loans for infrastructural projects.
The partnership between TNT and the CF is not a one-way street. There are many shared benefits to be accrued. TNT is already a part in championing the CF's presence here in the Caribbean. Trinidad and Tobago first became a Series C shareholder of the CF in 1994, and we have remained at that level since. We never really upgraded our participation in the CF, and so we are very happy in 2012. We've been able to take us from the 1994 C Series holder to where we are today.
She added that talks were held on reducing crime in the region.
The fact that we need to collaborate, we need to cooperate, because all our countries are facing the same scourge coming out of narco trafficking in Central America, out of South America. And so my Minister of National Security, of course, we will have further discussions with him and other security officials in Trinidad and Tobago as we partner with our South American and Central American counterparts to fight this great disaster and this great scourge of narco trafficking and all crimes related.
The Prime Minister expressed optimism in the Summit of the Americas trip, saying that relations with members of the OAS had deepened as a result. Kimberly Ram-Calawan, News 4.
When News 4 Top Stories continues, government keeps a promise to senior citizens. Stay with us.
Reporting from communities across the country, people are calling Nalis Libraries their library. Tell me, why is Nalis your library?
My library is where I can have fun learning.
My library is helping me earn better grades with online research resources.
My library is my gateway to the world of information.
My library is providing access to the differently abled. As a visually impaired person, I can envision limitless possibilities.
My library is making my world truly worldwide with free internet access.
My library is helping me keep an eye on my health with access to the virtual health library via the Nalis website.
Nalis is my library.
Now, if you are in a flood-prone area, move your valuable items above expected floodwaters.
Construct flood barriers to prevent water from entering your home or building.
The next big problem that causes flooding is The dumping of garbage and appliances by the river. How much times we will say to put the old stove and fridge by the river bank? Listen, it's going to create even more flooding.
Here are some other precautions you can take.
Turn off gas and electricity. Unplug all electrical appliances.
Put dangerous liquids like strong chemicals and flammable liquids in a safe place and close those containers tightly.
Place important documents, passport, deed, birth certificate, in waterproof containers or sealed plastic bags.
Common sense now. Park your vehicle in an area that will not flood.
Secure pets on higher ground.
Have an emergency plan for your family or business so you know what to do beforehand, where you will go, and how you will deal with a flooding situation.
That was some real good tips, Dee. But at the end of the day, flooding takes place. And if indeed you become a victim of flooding, here is the hookup. You need to contact your regional corporation or the ODPM at 800 ODPM.
Great, Jason. Remember, damages caused by flooding can be minimized. So let's plan and prepare.
In order to safeguard our family, our community, and our country.
A message from the Ministry of National Security, Office of Disaster Preparedness and Management.
Welcome back to our News 4 top stories. Relief for senior citizens from the government as the Ministry of Public Utilities announces a reprieve in their electricity and water bills. The announcement came from Public Utilities Minister Senator Emmanuel George following this week's post-cabinet meeting. John Victor tells us more.
Cabinet has approved free electricity and water for senior citizens. The move comes after the Prime Minister made a promise earlier this year. Public Utilities Minister Senator Emmanuel George made the announcement at this week's cabinet briefing.
Cabinet today agreed to double the subsidy to the beneficiaries under the Utilities Assistance Program. The difference is that in addition to the assistance with respect to paying their water bills, people now have assistance in paying part of their electricity bills.
He added that it comes as a result of subsidizing the water and electricity by 100% for old age pensioners, as well as the poor and low-income persons on social assistance who currently fall under the Utilities Assistance Program.
Our research has indicated that under the water subsidy, the average subsidy paid was $70 per year. That $70 will now be increased to $140 per year for persons under the program. The research also revealed that on average, the subsidy for electricity was $100 per year. And that subsidy will now be increased $200 per year for persons under that program. So the government is continuing to assist persons at the lower end of the economic ladder in accessing some of these basic human needs.
The minister assured that the program will continue to be revised for the benefit of citizens.
People who are in receipt of public assistance and pensions and who are at the lower end of the economic ladder. The cabinet agreed then in September 2010 that the program would be evaluated annually to determine the success of the program. We will continue to monitor the program and consider in due course whether other arrangements could be made to improve that subsidy to the beneficiaries under the program.
The Utilities Assistance Program is a social intervention strategy introduced by the government in 2010, which provides financial assistance to eligible citizens to ensure their continued access to basic utilities such as water and electricity. The program is aimed at enhancing the real income of beneficiaries by cushioning the effects of the rising cost of public utilities. John Victor, News 4.
In another top story, addressing the issue of bullying in the nation's schools is said to have captured the attention of Prime Minister the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisasa. The issue has come under the spotlight in recent weeks with a number of attacks taking place at schools across the nation. Education Minister Dr. the Honorable Tim Gopi Singh said the matter was one actively engaging the attention of the Cabinet along with behavioral experts as they seek to provide solutions to school administrators and teachers. Kimberly Ramkalawan has more.
Finding new ways to curb the issue of bullying at the nation's schools. Several initiatives are said to be on the table as the Ministry of Education looks to address the problem following several attacks on school children in recent weeks. While bullying is said to be the root of a multiplicity of problems, government realizes the need to implement a multifaceted solution. It is for this reason Education Minister Dr. Tim Gopi Singh made the announcement that talks were ongoing with behavioral experts from the University of the West Indies in bringing about preventative measures in the classroom.
We are working now with the University of the West Indies. Minister Dikoto and myself have been privy to a concept of conflict management and conflict resolution being widely done in the United States at the moment, and teachers are now being trained in the process of dealing with those, including bullying, and we are implementing those policies that we have found very relevant to Trinidad and Tobago.
The minister noted that detecting the problem at the early stages would assist in reducing the issue of bullying. He added that the subject had become a matter of great concern for Prime Minister Kamla Prasad Bisasa and the Gender, Youth and Child Development Minister Verna St. Robes Greaves, as well as the rest of the Cabinet who have been deliberating on the issue with a view to come up with solutions.
We at the Ministry will be moving actively to train our teachers and principals in the process as well. That's one aspect. We are now also introducing the values in education at the primary school. The morals, values, ethics, citizenry development and character development, which will have a direct impact upon the process of behavior in schools and preventing dysfunctional behavioral patterns.
One of the new initiatives on the cards will draw from the Circle of Hope program, which is utilized in the United States. Minister Gopi Singh said that government was looking at establishing centers at the various regional education districts as a means of providing support for students and teachers at schools.
We will be working with the local school boards and through the communities to get parents more involved in the entire process, and the Minister of Gender, Youth and Child Development has brought before Cabinet the implementation of community visitors and community social workers who will be working within the communities and the NGOs and the CBOs to help to detect problems or prevent problems and detect problems in early situation.
Recently, government launched its National Student Hotline, a support service targeting students and children who are faced with abuse and bullying. Children are urged to call 131 or 800-4321. All calls are said to be free and confidential and are accessible 24 hours, 365 days a year. Kimberly Ramkalawan, News 4.
Coming up in our News 4 top stories, regional cooperation on issues of security.
I'm Anil, lifeguard for 7 years from Miaro, and this is my co-worker
Ria, also a lifeguard at Miaro.
Now fellas, I know all love to come to the beach and grease down and puff up your chest and your abs, come out for the ladies. But always get carried away and want to go far and wide. And when there's all again difficulty, Ria have to come and rescue you.
You understand? After they want my number, chat to me down, and tell me to go in and fake the jungle so I can come and save them. And give all your what mouth to mouth. People No faking. It's not no joke. It's a serious thing.
Next thing, what somebody like to do is come up with alcohol. And you know alcohol and salt water do mix because it impedes your judgment. You would think that you're the greatest swimmer in the whole sea and want to go far away, and when they get in trouble, who are the car rescuer?
Ria.
So people, listen to your lifeguard.
Because you all have a responsibility to be safe.
We are reporting from communities across the country. People are calling Nalis Libraries their library. Tell me, why is Nalis your library?
My library is where I can have fun learning.
My library is helping me earn better grades with online research resources.
My library is my gateway to the world of information.
My library is providing access to the differently abled. As a visually impaired person, I can envision limitless possibilities.
My library is making my world truly worldwide with free internet access.
My library is helping me keep an eye on my health with access to the virtual health library via the Nalis website.
Nalis is my library.
Homo sapien, we'll call him Mark. It spends its days trying to attract a mate. Success. What follows is a series of celebratory actions unique to this species. Every Homo sapien has their own way of displaying themselves to attract a female. But things don't go according to plan.
Where the water gone?
No water, no love. Pay your water bill today.
The Water and Sewage Authority of Trinidad and Tobago. Water security for every sector. Deliver it. Sustain it.
Welcome back to our News 4 Top Stories. Curbing the level of crime in the region starts with collaboration and working together. It's for this reason members of the protective and defense agencies from across the region gathered in Port of Spain for a 10-day workshop aimed at improving their skills in the fight against illegal firearms trafficking. Gregory Reyes has the story.
Attempts are being made to further equip law enforcement officers with the skills to curb trafficking of firearms and ammunition in the Caribbean. National Security Minister Brigadier John Sandy said training was needed as government looked to reduce the levels of homicide in the nation. The minister made the statement during the opening ceremony of a 10-day training course aimed at educating regional law enforcers on combating illicit trafficking of firearms, ammunition and explosives.
Governments across the region must remain committed to addressing this concern by taking decisive action to reduce the illegal and all too ready supply of guns to criminals. Trinidad and Tobago is doing its part in confronting this challenge.
The move comes as a result of collaboration with the United Nations, Canada and several CARICOM states. Representative for the United Nations Center for Peace, Amanda Cowell, urged participants to take full advantage of the workshop.
The reason we are all gathered here today is to empower you, the law enforcement community, as our day-to-day defenders and safeguards, to make our communities safer and free from the scourge caused by the illicit trafficking in firearms. Over the next 10 days, you will have the opportunity to deepen your knowledge on international firearms instruments, practical disarmament measures, weapons classification and identification, as well as be privy to the latest the disarmament world has to offer with respect to armed violence, human security, appropriate use of force, gender perspectives, and youth protection.
Also at the opening was Police Academy Provost Steve Watt, who underscored the importance of the program. The 10-day course is being held at the Police Barracks St. James and is expected to give participants from various law enforcement agencies a chance to gain practical knowledge as well as skills in the fight against illegal firearms.
These illegal weapons, as we know, contribute to the loss of life. And unfortunately, lawfully held weapons are at times used for illegal purposes. This initiative will assist to address these matters from both a law enforcement and regulatory perspective. It is fitting that this course is being held at the Police Academy, a place of learning. The knowledge that you will gain over the next 2 weeks is not yours to keep, but yours to share. It is imperative that you take this information and build it into your operational practices and also into your basic and in-service training programs and put it to work in the field.
Gregory Reyes, News 4.
Science, Technology and Tertiary Education Minister Senator Fazal Karim is urging tertiary education students to become more integrated within their communities and society as a whole. He was speaking at the launch of the Students' Social Responsibility and Volunteerism Center at the UTT O'Meara campus, where several NGOs were in attendance. Verna Barth tells us more in this report.
Students are being encouraged to explore all aspects of volunteerism and to work together with several non-governmental organizations. Speaking at the launch of the Student Social Responsibility and Volunteerism Center at UTT, Science, Technology and Tertiary Education Minister Senator Fazal Karim says involvement in community service enhances a student's experience. He was addressing students at the UTT O'Meara campus, where several NGOs were also present.
It is a common fact that involvement in community service, much of which you would have heard about this evening, enriches a student experience. Social interaction is an effective method for learning about different types of individuals and gaining understanding, respect and tolerance for each other, among the watchwords of our beloved country. Tolerance, my dear friends, for one another's differences improves society as a whole.
Minister Karim is also underscoring the importance of implementing social responsibility and volunteerism into the lives of youths. He emphasizes that this is a critical area of focus in light of the current rise in school violence and other ills that are prevalent among the youth in society. Minister Karim says acquiring social responsibility will bring with it valuable personal returns with intrinsic benefits as well as extrinsic rewards for the recipient of the service. He adds that individuals and communities alike benefit from a sense of worth and belongingness that arise from the involvement in voluntary service. The Tertiary Education Minister adds that active community involvement is closely linked to high academic achievement and interest in further education. Furthermore, he says there are added benefits of enhanced problem-solving skills, the ability to work in teams, and learning how to plan and successfully execute project goals.
Our school system today, as we have been reading in the newspapers and looking on at the television, is plagued in some cases by incidents of school violence and bullying. Indeed, these acts of violence have now transcended the physical world as recent occurrences of cyberbullying have come to the fore. It is our duty to therefore introduce this concept of student social responsibility and volunteerism into the lives of our students in their most formative and youthful stage.
The Student Social Responsibility and Volunteerism Center is expected to provide a wide array of community service and volunteering opportunities that will foster an appreciation and an understanding of individual social responsibility. Minister Karim says the launch of the initiative will foster societal development and the enhancement of individuals, families and communities throughout Trinidad and Tobago. UTT student Andrew Mangatal also performed at the launch.
When we come back, CARICOM ministers discuss improving transportation links in the region.
Informing and educating the nation, especially the young ones, about water, how it's won and processed, and how it should be protected are just a few of our major responsibilities here at the Public Education Center. The enjoyable learning environment, cultivating conservation habits, developing healthy relationships, and giving our public an appreciation of the environment in which we produce water. WASA's PEC, the region's only public education center on water.
Never leave items like MP3 players, portable DVD players, laptops and briefcases on view inside your vehicle. It is an open invitation for a thief. Don't leave them on show. If you cannot take them with you, place them in the trunk of your car. Remember, crime prevention is everyone's business. A message from the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service.
Civilian Conservation Corps, CCC, now recruiting candidates for its upcoming cycle. Join our training program, military-led, national in scope.
Environment conserving, disaster response training, flora and fauna preserving, and life skill training. If you want to do better, change your life over. Civilian Conservation Corps has opened doors. You like plumbing? You like welding?
Call us now at 625-CORE-CCC. That's 625-4222. Or contact us at the CCC office in your region. For further information, check us out on Facebook. Search for Civilian Conservation Corps. The Civilian Conservation Corps, getting youth ready for life.
There's a spark of greatness in each of us. That spark is called personality. Individual gifts and talents provide the fuel to set that spark ablaze. Each child has the right to an education which values their personality and nurtures their talents, while teaching them to be respectful to their parents and their cultures.
Welcome back to our News 4 top stories. Linking the Caribbean through improved transportation networks. This was the focus of talks among transportation ministers of Barbados, St. Kitts Nevis and Trinidad and Tobago when they met in Port of Spain this past week. John Victor reports on the outcome of those discussions.
The role of the various transportation agencies, particularly Caribbean Airlines, was very much in focus as transport ministers from St. Kitts and Nevis and Barbados met Tuesday for talks in Port of Spain with Trinidad and Tobago's Transport Minister, Senator Devant Maraj.
What is of significant note is that there's a new level of dialogue, a new openness that previously was not there, and I've given the commitment of the government of Trinidad and Tobago and reaffirmed our commitment to CARICOM and has ensured that the dialogue would continue.
Minister of Tourism of Barbados Richard Seeley said increased cooperation in transportation would not only assist the regional effort but will help to expand the tourism market on which so many countries of the region are dependent.
I think it is also worthwhile to reinforce Minister Maharaj's point. There is a very key developmental element as well, because we've constantly said that in order for the regional experiment to succeed, we need to see greater levels of movement. I am happy to report that we have seen a significant increase in our movement from Trinidad to Barbados so far this year, and we are sincerely hopeful that whatever challenges that may exist in terms of regional aviation right now can be tamed by this new thrust by Caribbean Airlines.
Ricky Scarrett, Minister of International Transportation of St. Kitts Nevis and Chairman of the Caribbean Tourism Organization, echoed similar sentiments, saying CAL's continued viability was crucial to the economies of the region.
What we want is increased capacity at an affordable price to meet what clearly is a pent-up demand. Caribbean people want to travel across the region for various reasons, not all of which is for leisure. It could be for personal, business, family, other reasons. Whatever the purpose of the travel, we need to facilitate it better. And I think Minister Maharaj was very clear on that CAL is looking to see how CAL can continue to improve its business model to be a better regional player. Whether it is 1, 2, 3, or 4 airlines, what we do not want is for some predatory behavior which ends up to the detriment of the service.
Minister Maharaj indicated the needs of the region will be taken into account in the development of new routes to be serviced by Caribbean Airlines.
Minister Seeley indicated that on previous occasions, discussions with the expansion of routes at a government-to-government level did not exist. And that is something which would not occur with this administration. We would have a certain degree of respect and regard for counterparts in different Caribbean regions, so that when CAL is developing routes, it's done with some deference with the administration there, so that when the route is developed, we have their support.
Well, that's a look at the News 4 top stories of the week. I'm Nicola Barreto. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.